Hey, Tim Sykes here. I hope you've been having a good weekend. I'm actually filming this video on a Friday because the market is moving and I think that there's some really good lessons. But I'll be posting this on Sunday. Use the weekends to study, okay? I know many of you guys just want to take the time off. You want to enjoy friends, family, laziness, whatever. If you truly want to be a millionaire, there are no days off, okay? It's not just a cute little hashtag. That's what it takes. You have to constantly be studying. That's what the stock market is all about. So let me get to my trades that didn't go as expected today. And frankly, there's a lot to be learned from it. This is PNAT. This is a blatant pump and dump. You can see it's been going up every single day. Today is actually the first red day. It'll probably finish lower than where it is at 3. And yet, I actually bought it. And some people are confused. Tim, why are you buying a pump and dump? Because as I've shown in the past, if you buy the morning panic, this was at 350. It actually went all the way down to 230-ish. The low was right here around 10:15 in the morning. Guess what? There is now a 40% bounce in 2 hours. Okay? So you can try to make 40% over a year or two. And if you make 40% on your investment over 1 to 2 years in the stock market, most people, if not everybody on Wall Street, will be very jealous. And so it's very disconcerting and frustrating for some people to say, Tim, you can make 40% buying a pump and dump? What is this, some kind of scam? It's not a scam. It's pattern recognition. And I actually lost money on this today. So don't say, oh, Tim knows everything. I was wrong. And it's okay. And I'm not afraid to admit that I was wrong. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm very proud of my trade because even though I lost roughly $100, boo fucking who, I was on the right track. And a lot of you guys get discouraged. Obviously $100 means a very different thing to many different people. But you get discouraged by your small losses. I lost roughly 4 cents a share, dip buying the panic in here. Where was it? In here, thinking that 250 would be the support. As it turned out, it got down to like 230-ish. So I mistimed my dip buy a little bit, and I cut losses quickly. I lost 4 cents a share. I would do the trade the exact same way. Do you want to know why? Let me show you the pattern. Hold on. Let me pull up a few charts. All right. So I have pulled up a few charts here, and I just want to show you. So this is CATQ, the panic from 250 down to 130, bounced back to 220. This was more than a 40% bounce off the lows. Let's do some math. I did some calculations before. It was a 40.5% bounce from the bottom on PNAT, from the bottom to the top in 2 hours, roughly. CATQ, the bottom was here at 130. I actually nailed the bottom on this one. This one was actually pretty similar because it had a fake out bottom in here, and then it had the ultimate bottom. And then it went sideways, and then you have the nice uptrend. So it got up to like 220. It probably went further, but I just screenshotted this. 130 to 220. So roughly 90 cents divided by 130. So this bounce was 70% inside of 2 hours. That's CATQ. A few months ago, there's a video lesson on that. Here is CNAB. This dropped from 270 down to 150, and the bounce got up to like 225. So roughly 75 cents divided by 1.5. Oh, it's a 50% bounce. So PNAT has bounced 40%, CNAB bounced 50%, and this was actually inside of an hour. So it's not always 2 hours. Let me pull up one more chart. HADV. Same kind of pump chart. All of these charts are strong leading up to it. It's not just dip buying any stock, okay? You have to find a stock that has been spiking for several days and weeks, ideally on promotion. And I know many people just want to short sell promotions. They're like, oh, it's just a scam. Let's just short it. Finding shares to short is tough. Having patience and trying to be there on the crack day is tough. It's kind of funny. Even when I do correctly short sell these, usually I get like 10 to 20 students who cancel because they're like, I don't care if the strategy works. I just hate it. Dip buying even if I lose money and I was off a little bit like I was on PNAT, nobody cancels because you like dip buying. So for me, I don't care if I make or lose money on a trade, okay? I make the majority of my income from teaching. Again, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm very proud of it. You know where my priorities are. I am trying to give you the best lessons and the best trades so that you get encouraged, not discouraged, and you keep studying because I want more millionaire students. A lot of people are under the mistaken belief that, oh, Tim just has the most students. I have the most studious students. I have the most successful students. So I need to get you, not just as a student, but I need to get you studying, and then I need to get you successful. And it takes time. A lot of these are, frankly, waiting games. You have to wait for these plays to set up. It takes several weeks for them to spike, and then it takes, you being prepared for the day that it drops, and then trying to catch the bottom. So it's a multi-step process, and it's not easy in the beginning. I understand it's actually very overwhelming because I'm telling people, dip buying absolute scams? What? This doesn't make sense. Oh, it could get halted. Oh, it's a scam. First of all, the odds of it getting halted intraday are very low. And secondly, when I say dip buy, I'm not saying buy these companies for the long haul. I'm saying take advantage of this inefficiency that is created by these morning panics. And I will be out inside of 1 to 2 hours of my position every single time. And maybe sometimes even earlier, like on, PNAT where I had to cut losses. But this was HADV dropping from 420 down to 310. Not as big of a percent drop, but a nice little dollar a share bounce. So this is roughly a 30% gain. So these are 4 examples: HADV, CNAB, CATQ, and now PNAT. And this one was the, quote, weakest bounce, and it only bounced 30% inside of 30 minutes. The others bounced 40, 50, and 60%. So you tell me, 30, 40, 50, 60%, 4 different examples, and there's more. This is just, all in the past few weeks. And here is what HADV, I got a chart of it. It was uptrending for quite a while, and it had that big panic. And it also had a panic in here and a panic in here. So these are 4 great examples. And frankly, I actually thought that when this one was not bouncing, I was like, oh, well, I guess I was due for, this pattern to stop working because frankly, it's worked too well. But as it turned out, it just changed a little bit. It was a little slower, and it had, not even really changed that much. It did have like a fake out bottom in here, and that created the ultimate bottom in here. But whether you bought at 250 or at 230, if you have patience, it's now at 310. So I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to adapt. That's what successful traders do. I don't worry about my losses. I actually love my losses because I want to highlight them and show you them, and I want to learn from them. That's how you get better. I don't learn that much from my successful trades. I know it's kind of weird, like you want to be all successful, but if you're successful, okay, you profit, but there's not much you can take away from it. You can say, okay, you're right, but there's no learning, there's no adapting. It's nice. So on every trade you win if you have the right mindset. You either lose and learn, or you win and get richer. There's no way to lose unless you have the wrong mindset. If you lose, you don't cut losses quickly, you don't learn from your mistakes, or if you win and you just get too cocky and then you start going all in. So it's very easy to take the wrong things away from these trades. For me, I lost roughly $100. Boo-hoo. I will gladly lose $100 to learn and adapt on the next one, which I will. But some people say you should never dip buy pump and dumps. That's just wrong. I just gave 4 separate examples where this pattern has been uniformly successful. And I was just off a little bit on mine today. And by the way, some people say, oh, Tim, you're like pumping. I said small little pattern here. I missed the short. Looks to have solid support at 250, but small position since I don't trust this weird stock. I don't think a pumper would say small position. I don't trust this weird stock. But I linked this pattern, and guess what? This is the pattern, okay? This is the whole video lesson on CNAB. And it also links to another pattern, which was CATQ. I have video lessons on all of these. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. And you challenge students. There was another example, CGRW, which I actually mistimed. And I started, adding too much too soon. But that one bounced I think 30 or 40% off the lows too. And you guys have an archive webinar if you're a challenge student. So multiple examples, and that's how you get better over time. You learn from your losses, you learn from these plays, and you learn from everything, okay? So I lost roughly $100 on this one, made a little over 1,000 on URRE, made roughly 1,000 on DELT. This one actually was a live trade that I posted on Friday for subscribers only. And this one is pretty cool. I'll post more live trades too. This was another URRE long. I went long the breakout, and then I tried to go long on this morning on Friday when I'm filming this on the dip, and it didn't work. So I got out for small gains. ANY, I went long. DCIX, I went long. APRI, I shorted. And I want to talk about this one too. So this video is going to be all about my losses. And I think that's very good for you to see how I'm different than other people who claim to teach. They don't share their losses. If they have a bad day, they just go quiet on social media for a day or two, and they just don't talk about it. I want to highlight what I did wrong because I am never, ever embarrassed from any of my trades. I'm proud to be transparent. Leave a comment, actually, if you're understanding what I'm saying. Leave the word transparency. I know it's a long word with many syllables, but use the word transparency because I think it's really important. There's a lot of traders out there who think that it's okay not to show their losses. And when they have a big win, trust me, they're going to tell you. They're going to post a screenshot and be like, look how amazing this is. And they're going to crop their photos to only show a few executions. You're not going to know their whole position size. You're not going to see the total profit and loss. And it's a joke. And that's like the trading world on social media. And for me, I don't like that. I like sharing my mistakes and my successes. And this video in particular, I want to highlight my mistakes so you can learn from them. So if you understand what I'm going for, write the word transparency. Another analogy I like to make for some of you guys who don't get it, like Tim, if you don't have a newsletter, why should you be transparent? I don't care if you have a newsletter or if you don't. To actually build this trading industry, because right now, we're kind of like this small little degenerate army, in case you didn't realize. I mean, I talk to more traders and non-traders than probably anybody in the entire world of finance, and I see what the world thinks of us traders. And it's because of this shadiness and this lack of transparency. So I think it's every trader's duty to be transparent. If we are transparent and you get more people trading, long or short, you get more volatility. And I should, remind you, I don't care if you go long or short. Tim Grattani, my top student, was shorting this. I don't know where he was shorting it exactly, but he was specifically shorting it and I was going long. And he made money on the short side. I lost a little money on the long side, but I was on the right track. It actually had better upside than downside today. So I don't care if you go long or short. What I do care about is transparency. And the analogy that I was going to make is imagine going to a baseball game. I don't care if it's the major leagues or the minor leagues, or even if you're in just junior high school ball. There are stats. You have a batting average. You see how this person is doing so they can be voted for the all-star team, right? Or MVP of the team. Without stats, you got nothing. And trading, we have stats. We have the ability to share everything. Win-loss percentage, everything. Profitly has a ton of features on this. But some of these traders don't think that they have to be transparent because, frankly, it doesn't matter. They don't have a newsletter. They're not getting paid for it. And so you have this whole world that's kind of screwed up because you don't know who to believe because there's no league-wide stats. And I think it'll be amazing if more people come to the transparent view. Imagine going to a freaking baseball game, looking up at the scoreboard. I don't care what league you're in, okay? If you want to say that newsletter writers are major leagues, and if you don't have a newsletter, you're minor leagues, whatever analogy you want to make. But on all levels of baseball, you have a scoreboard or a stat sheet where you show specific stats transparently. When a batter comes up to bat, you can look on the stat sheet, you can look on the scoreboard, and see their winning percentage, and you can see their batting average. And it should be the same for traders. But the pathetic thing is that a lot of these people who want to be all-stars and they like, patting their ego, they don't want to show all their stats. Because if you actually saw some of their losses, you wouldn't think of them as an all-star anymore. And that's why I'm so proud to share every single trade. Some people want to mock me for, a millionaire is losing a few $100s. I don't care, okay? I trade with a small account most years. This year I'm trading a little bigger. I'm already up nearly $40,000 in 3 weeks. Still getting used to trading with bigger size, doing a few live trades, trying to trade on the road from all these crazy spots. And yes, sometimes I have bad Wi-Fi. Sometimes I'm trading from the fucking jet runway. That's my life. Full transparency, baby. Anyways, I'm into it because I'm riled up because I want more people to be transparent. I don't care what account size you have. I don't care if you're paper trading. If you say, look, this is my trade, just admit it. I'm a paper trader. Don't pretend to be a real trader if you're a paper trader. Don't be embarrassed if you're a paper trader. We all have to practice. We all start somewhere. Anyways, APRI, I got to get going to my training session. I'm working out more this year too. But APRI, I was shorting the other day in the 370s because frankly, I thought that this one was overdone. This run up was up 150%, but I made the mistake of shorting before noon, thinking, I'll get a fast drop. And I kind of cheated myself. You don't really want to short a first day runner in the morning, especially when it keeps making new highs, because even if you're off by a little bit, you have to cut losses quickly. And I was shorting it in here in the 370s, out in the 380s. I lost like 10 cents a share, and it went to 4. So I protected myself. But this is really when you want to short, and this was a good lesson for me. You don't necessarily want to short the first downdraft because that might be a fake out, but when it can't make a new high, and this happened right around 1 p.m., so it's the afternoon, it's nice and safe, and, couldn't get back to 4, and you short it at the same spot, the same price, mind you, okay? You short it anywhere 390, 380, 370. You cover in here in the 340s, or if you want to be really aggressive, you cover in the low 3s. That was the opportunity here. I shorted too soon. But again, even with this loss, I was on the right track. That's the beautiful thing. When you have a loss, you have to determine, was it your fault? Did you do something wrong? Were you wrong about the pattern and the outcome? Or was there some combination? On APRI and on PNAT, I was 100% on the right track. I lost in both cases because I did undisciplined things, okay? PNAT, it's tough. I wouldn't really change how I traded it because, you're thinking that it's going to bounce here, in the 250s, and it doesn't really bounce that much, and then it looks like it's going to crack, and you don't know how far it's going to go down. With these pump and dumps, this could have ended and bottomed at 2 or 150. So I don't really mind cutting losses quickly, so this was just a good loss. But for me, what I take away from it is that I was on the right track, and I need to have patience, and that sometimes you're not going to catch the exact bottom like I thought, like I've done on a few other stocks. So sometimes the exact bottom is not always possible. That's the big lesson here, and yet it's still a 40% bouncer off the lows. So no exact bottom, have more patience. APRI, short in the afternoon, not necessarily in the morning, and wait for a kind of a double top before shorting. But again, I was on the right track there. And my student, Stephen Dux, actually shorted this. He's now up around $700,000 in just a year of trading. And I think he made like $20,000 shorting this one. My high net worth broker had shares to short this. So even if I lose, I win because I can share with you the lessons and I'm not embarrassed about it. And then more importantly, my students are winning more because I think if you study my trades enough, win or lose, you get better over time. And it's pretty freaking sweet. And that's how I've made, $4.5 million. So leave a comment with the word transparency if you understand what I'm saying. But I'm going to keep sharing these losses with you. I'm going to keep sharing every single thing that I do well or badly. But, again, PNAT, I specifically specifically said small position since I don't trust this weird stock. And I really don't mind about $100 losses. And, even if you had a smaller position with a smaller account size, you should never worry about 4 cents a share losses or 5 cents a share. I'm glad I cut my losses quickly. This was a good loss. Sometimes there are good losses. And I know that's confusing for some people because they're like, Tim, what? Good loss. What's wrong with you? You're a loser. You should just focus on winners. In trading, there is a thing such as good losses. And this was a good loss. APRI, I was on the right track. I probably should have waited until the afternoon and the double top. So that was my bad. I got a little overexcited. That was not necessarily a good loss. That was me being undisciplined. And these are my 2 most recent losses. And then I have a lot of, little wins and some bigger wins. And, it adds up to nearly 40 grand in 3 weeks. But these losses, it's good stuff. So learn from it and type in the word transparency if you understand what I'm trying to do here. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the weekend. I'll see you guys in the chat room tomorrow.